You think you know the Messerschmitt Bf-109, one of World War II's most famous fighters? In reality, behind its fame hides a dark truth rarely spoken. Every flight in this plane was a real gamble for its pilot. Imagine the cockpit, cramped with almost no forward visibility over the long engine hood. Exhaust fumes seeped inside, and any maneuver at top speed could end in disaster. Over 90% of the crews who climbed into a Bf-109 never returned from a combat mission. But why? And how did a plane considered a technical marvel become such a deadly trial for its own pilots? At first glance, the Bf-109 seemed nearly perfect. Its sleek shape, sharp silhouette, and impressive short-range speed amazed pilots and engineers alike. In a sprint, it can outrun almost any competitor, easily leaving British and Soviet planes behind. But beneath that elegance lay a web of limitations that kept it from performing at its full potential in long-range missions or extended dogfights. Designer Willy Messerschmitt aimed to create a small yet powerful fighter. That concept came with consequences. The wing carried high loads, requiring complex mechanization, automatic slats, slotted flaps, and sophisticated ailerons. On paper, it looked like a technological wonder, but in reality, these systems complicated handling and added weight. Every upgrade to boost combat performance affected flight characteristics, trapping the Bf-109 in its own design. At medium and maximum speeds, the Bf-109 was relatively easy to fly. Pilots could feel confident in horizontal and maneuvering flight, fire accurately, and trust the plane's predictability. But even here, traps lurked. The lack of a rudder trim and subtle quirks of the slats sometimes caused unpleasant surprises, especially under sharp G-forces in tight turns. At low speeds, the plane remained stable down to roughly 170 kilometers per hour. Beyond that, slight lateral instability appeared. Experienced pilots could correct it with ailerons and rudder, but inexperienced flyers faced the danger of sudden wing stalls, particularly during landing. The narrow landing gear made takeoffs risky, with the plane prone to veering left, demanding full concentration. The cockpit itself was compact, with limited rear visibility. A low seat and long nose made it hard to judge taxiing and landing distance. Instruments were well placed and accessible in flight, mitigating some discomfort. But one of the most dangerous flaws was exhaust gas leaking into the cockpit, which could cause unconsciousness and severe incidents. Only vigilance and experience saved pilots from unpredictable consequences. Another hidden threat was the fuselage. 45% of the skin was magnesium alloy, which reduced survivability under fire and made the plane vulnerable. Even the best Luftwaffe pilots knew that a hit to a critical point could disable the aircraft, regardless of their skill. The Bf-109 first saw combat in Spain, facing Soviet I-15s and I-16s. Speed was roughly equal, but the Soviets had superior maneuverability. Still, early Bf-109 models performed well. Direct fuel injection allowed rapid throttle response, sustained dives and rolls impossible for many opponents. Its cannon armament could strike targets at ranges where Spitfire and Hurricane machine guns were losing effectiveness. Captured Bf-109E trials in France confirmed the plane outpaced the British Spitfire I and matched the Mark II in speed, surpassing most opponents. But maneuverability remained a weak spot, leaving it vulnerable in prolonged dogfights. On paper, advantages were obvious, but combat experience proved that superior specs didn't always translate into battlefield dominance. With the introduction of the Bf-109F, the situation changed slightly. This new variant improved maneuverability and climb rate. A full 360-degree turn now took 18 seconds, compared to 25 in the E model. This temporarily offset the advantage of British fighters, but soon new Soviet aircraft made life difficult for the kings of the sky once again. Altitude performance, climb rate, and ceiling remained important, but on the Eastern Front, most combat took place below 6,000 meters, where speed and tactics were decisive. In this environment, the Bf-109's technical superiority often clashed with real combat conditions. At high altitudes, it still had the edge over many Soviet planes, but at low and medium altitudes, where most dogfights occurred, the situation shifted. Yak-1s and MiG-3s were highly maneuverable and had better vertical performance, allowing them to survive tight encounters and strike the German fighters effectively. Luftwaffe pilots quickly realized that in these conditions, their technical advantages were minimized, and mistakes in flying could be fatal. Even the most skilled aces faced problems on landing, when slight instability at low speed could cause a wing to drop suddenly. Many incidents like this led to significant non-combat losses among pilots. Modern variants like the Bf-109G brought some changes, but nothing revolutionary. High speed and heavier armament remained, but maneuverability was still a concern. Opponents studied the Bf-109 closely and developed tactics to reduce their own risk. At low altitudes, Soviet fighters often outturned German planes, exploiting their edge in agility and climb. This gradually eroded the legendary reputation of the Bf-109 as an invincible king of the air. Still, in the hands of a skilled pilot, the Bf-109 remained deadly. Its high closing speed and compact size made it hard for Allied bombers to spot or target, while its powerful weapons allowed precise attacks even in difficult conditions. Encounters with large aircraft like the P-38 Lightning revealed weaknesses in dogfighting, but on short ranges, it was still a formidable force. The pilots themselves were key to the Bf-109's successes and failures. Even a technically advanced aircraft couldn't compensate for inexperience. On the Eastern Front, the initial superiority of German aviation allowed air dominance, but constant losses, caused not only by the enemy but also by design limitations, forced Luftwaffe Command to rethink pilot training. The Bf-109K brought only partial improvements. Speed and firepower remained high, but low-altitude maneuverability lagged behind the latest Soviet fighters. Combat experience also showed that pilot fatigue, stress, and limited cockpit visibility significantly reduced the effectiveness of even the most advanced variants. From the first days of war, the Bf-109 faced constant adaptation. Enemy tactics, better Soviet training, and new aircraft gradually eroded the German fighter's edge. What looked like an unbeatable weapon on paper demanded maximum concentration, skill, and constant risk for the pilot in practice. Despite all limitations, the Bf-109 remained a key force in the air battles. Its high speed, powerful armament, and precision made it a threat to both bombers and fighters, slowly building its legend as the invincible German plane. Yet every victory came at the cost of intense pilot effort and the ever-present dangers posed by design quirks, modifications, and flying at the edge of the aircraft's capabilities. As the war progressed, Luftwaffe opponents developed tactics that gradually neutralized the Bf-109's advantages. English and Soviet pilots increasingly relied on vertical dives, tight turns, and coordinated group attacks, exploiting weaknesses the German aces hadn't anticipated. At low and medium altitudes, where most fighting occurred, the Bf-109 often proved less maneuverable than the Yak-1, MiG-3, or Spitfire Mk-5. Pilots learned to use their strengths while avoiding close-range confrontations where the German fighter's speed was most dangerous. Every dogfight became a complex calculation. The Bf-109 could accelerate to extreme speeds and strike unexpectedly, but if the enemy maintained vertical positioning or executed tight turns, the German plane lost effectiveness.
pilots had to balance offense and defense, factoring in not only the aircraft's capabilities, but their own skill, fatigue, and stress.
The cockpit remained cramped with limited visibility, making it difficult to track opponents. The long nose and low seat restricted sight lines during maneuvers and landings, while exhaust fumes entering the cabin increased the risk of losing focus. Even experienced aces knew that skill, not technology, determined survival, making every mission a test of concentration. Soviet pilots analyzing early encounters with the Bf-109 discovered its weaknesses and developed unexpected tactics. Vertical maneuvers, sharp turns, and group attacks allowed them to maximize the German fighters' limitations while minimizing losses. On the Western Front, British pilots adapted similarly, refining their techniques into near-automatic routines. With the Bf-109G, German engineers attempted to fix the shortcomings of earlier variants. Climb rate improved, armament increased, and some structural adjustments were made. Yet in practice, the core problem persisted: limited low-altitude maneuverability and vulnerability to experienced opponents. American P-38 Lightnings, with long wingspans and twin engines, posed serious threats, while Soviet Yak-3s and La-5s outturned the new Messerschmitts at low altitudes. Moreover, heavier armament and armor negatively affected flight characteristics. Turning speed decreased, handling worsened, and G-forces during maneuvers felt stronger. Each upgraded variant demanded more skill and preparation from the pilot, and inexperienced flyers quickly fell victim to the aircraft's limitations. Still, the Bf-109 remained a deadly threat to Allied bombers. Its compact size, high closing speed, and precise weapons allowed pilots to strike effectively while avoiding agile enemy fighters. Every successful mission emphasized the danger of the aircraft, but at the cost of maximum pilot effort and constant risk with every maneuver.
By the end of the war, it became clear that the Bf-109 had reached the limits of its design. Willy Messerschmitt had created a plane with exceptional short-range performance, but structural constraints and continual modifications prevented universal dominance. History showed that even the best aircraft couldn't compensate for a skilled, prepared opponent. Ultimately, the Bf-109 became both a symbol of engineering genius and a tragic limitation of German aviation. Despite its high speed and heavy armament, every Luftwaffe pilot knew that flying the plane at its limits left no room for error. Narrow landing gear, lack of rudder trim, and a cramped cockpit with limited visibility made takeoffs, landings, and even simple maneuvers potentially dangerous. The plane's structural quirks added to the danger. Exhaust fumes entering the cockpit could momentarily distract the pilot, and in worst cases, cause critical impairment. Nearly half of the Bf-109's skin was made of magnesium alloy, making it lightweight but highly vulnerable to bullets or accidents. Any hit to a wing or fuselage could end in disaster, even if the pilot maintained control. In real combat, pilots faced numerous hazards. Vertical attacks, rapid dives, and sharp turns demanded instant reactions and absolute precision. At low altitudes, opponents exploited their advantages, forcing German pilots into risky maneuvers that the plane handled poorly. Casualties were catastrophic. Up to 90% of crews did not return from missions. Landing errors added to the toll. A sudden wing drop from airflow separation over the leading-edge slats, misjudged speed, or incorrect approach angle could flip the plane, destroy the engine, or crash it entirely. Many losses had nothing to do with enemy fire.
Experienced Luftwaffe aces fell victim to the aircraft's inherent limits.
Yet for those who mastered the Bf-109 and leveraged its strengths, it remained a powerful weapon. Its compact size, rapid closing speed on bombers, and precise armament enabled devastating strikes while preserving survival chances. Every victory demanded immense skill, focus, and readiness for unexpected threats. The Bf-109's impact on air combat was undeniable, but its story served as a warning. Technical perfection without regard for the human pilot could be deadly. German aces who flew the 109 became legendary, but their achievements were shadowed by the high price they paid. A plane that looked perfect on paper required relentless concentration, skill, and courage, making each flight a trial. In the end, the Bf-109 remains a symbol of an era where speed, power, and firepower didn't always guarantee survival, and engineering brilliance met the harsh limits of real warfare. This aircraft proved that even an invincible machine demands harmony between pilot and technology. Without it, any tool, however perfect, can become a deadly challenge.